Today we have Millie Sykes on the show. I'm so excited to have you on. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just huddled up. It's very stormy in Sydney today, so I'm hiding out.
Well, you're bringing the color in your outfit as usual.
Babe,
I
I got
love
you.
it. So Millie, tell me about your work as a stylist and digital creator and what you do basically.
Yeah. So I guess I'm like a traditional slashy, very, very like millennial of me, but I do kind of like four different things. Primarily at the moment I'm doing content creation. As well as a little bit of styling. And then I am a nightlife entertainer and dancer. And, I'll chuck a little bit of modeling in there from time to time, doing acting. But yeah, at the moment it's digital content creation and styling are like my main two sources of income.
Amazing. I love it. I have followed you for a while actually, and I think I always smile when I see your content. Like the music is amazing because I'm so for, the sort of 70s, 80s, like disco.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I love all the outfits as well. So I did want to ask you though, like, how do you get your inspiration for your content? And, why do you think you're so inspired by maybe that particular time period as well?
I think most of my like inspiration has originally come from film.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town, and so I think I really just took to cinema as like a place to kind of like escape. And it was just like sort of like I could see all these like fantasies play out that I had in my head that I was like, oh my gosh, like it's just just like really, I guess, opened my eyes up to like what was outside of my town, because I didn't really feel like I could express myself creatively necessarily. But yeah, so I find like now when I'm like coming up with concepts, I can often trace like a lot of it back to like a film I watched when I was like 14, and like doing my like 5 for $5 DVD selection at Civic Video, going onto IMDb, being like top 100 films of all time, and just like doing all the classics. Yeah, so I kind of originally like feel like a lot of my inspiration kind of came from there, and then just being a person on the internet, you know what I mean? I think like you are just constantly absorbing so much different content. And so like I know like a lot of the stuff that I am creating now, 100% I probably have seen something similar, or like taken an idea for like certain transitions, or like just different little like elements to the type of content I create. I think a lot of it does come from just absorbing a whole bunch of stuff on the internet, and following a whole bunch of creators who really excite me and inspire me as well.
I love that. And I think, like it almost is like a movie when some of your posts, and like I know during 2020 and 2021, you were doing all your dancing videos, probably because you couldn't go out and do nightlife work, so you're just bringing it at home.
2020 was the year of just dancing in my lounge room because I had nothing else to do.
Me too. Yeah, no, it was a time, that's for sure. A time we won't forget.
I feel like a lot of the dancing stuff, I mean, it wasn't even like I never set out being like I want to dance online, but I was a dancer my whole life. Well, as a teenager growing up, and then I gave that up when I was maybe like 16 or 17. And I think I just did it once and was like, I feel myself, I'm like, this is kind of fun. I feel like this is and I was so nervous, but I was like, I'm going to put it on Instagram because I was so scared. I was like, I have to do it. And then it got a really big response. So I was like, okay, damn, maybe this is like, maybe I should keep doing some little dances online. And then obviously TikTok came and suddenly
The
everybody was
perfect time to be dancing online.
yeah, well, I know. And then it just blew up and I was like, oh wow, okay, everybody's dancing online now. I'm not so special anymore. But yeah, it's fun.
No, it's really cool. And yeah, I feel like I was the same. That was the only thing that got me through, having wines in my lounge room and dancing by myself.
Love that.
Amazing the power that has, can change.
Oh, totally. Just moving your body, like just moving your body has magical powers for sure. I had a garage throughout lockdown. So when my roommates were sick of me dancing in the lounge room, I'd be like, okay guys, I'm just gonna go have a little session in the garage for an hour. And just like I had a disco light, I had like the whole setup.
So fun. Yeah, well,
you
couldn't go out.
Club. If I just squint hard enough, I'm at the club. Nearly. No one else here.
People. So how did you get started in, I guess, the fields that you are in at the moment? And yeah, like when did that kind of start for you?
So because I like loved cinema so much, and little old 18-year-old Millie, who like really had no idea what she was going to do with her life, was like, what's the thing that I like? And I was like, okay, cinema. Yes. So I did a film and media degree. I did at UTS. But then as soon as I kind of like moved out of my small town, and I spent a year in London when I was 18, 19.
Wow.
And just got like a lot of confidence and like inspiration to start to like experiment with what I was wearing and start to like try out different things and try out different looks, and like just kind of like actualize all of the like fantasies I'd seen on film and start to like bring that stuff into my wardrobe. And so then I kind of had this like kind of like freak out of being like, oh, I actually think I want to do fashion. Like I don't think I want to do film. Like I wasn't finding my degree necessarily like super inspiring, and I just didn't really feel like I was clicking with people. And I just really got into like the fashion side of things. And so I kind of like focused really only on styling for a few years there in my mid-20s. And then when I started creating content, it was really interesting because it just like, I realized that it was like kind of this full circle thing of being like, oh, wow, this is like, I'm taking what I actually did learn in my degree that I didn't think that I necessarily would ever then take into the workforce when I thought I was going to be a stylist. And I was like, oh, I actually am creating, media.
Yeah.
And adding in the element of like styling and design and stuff like that. So it really, like when I started doing content creation, I was like, oh, this actually feels really great, because I feel like I'm really creating from like a place of I don't know. Yeah, it was just like, it was amazing to like be in charge of the creative, like every part of the creative process from start to finish. And I think where I was struggling with styling was probably that I felt like I was, when you're working with a bigger team, it's not necessarily your vision.
Yeah.
You're just doing the clothes side of things, So yeah, tangent, but
but you kind of got to combine the two different skill sets in a way that, that career didn't even exist when we were at school. So
yeah, 100%. And like, no one, like I'm turning 28 in a month. And content creation and influencing, like I think I downloaded Instagram when I was like 18. So like growing up, you don't necessarily look like, I didn't consider content creation as a potential like career,
Right.
Whereas obviously nowadays kids are like 12 years old and they're like, I want to be Addison Rae. Right. Yeah, but so it was kind of like into my 20s that I actually started to realize like, oh, I could actually maybe like monetize this platform and like start to work in a creative sense through my social media, which was really cool. Yeah.
So when do you think the content creation, like digital creation, kind of became more of a job for you than just like a fun thing that you did?
I just started receiving emails from brands. You know, I think my platform had just reached a certain number where brands started to be like, okay, cool, she can, you know, create something fun for us, which initially it was like, we want to give you a hoodie and you can make like a 7-part photo series. And I was like, thank you so much. Oh my
Oh my
God.
God.
You want to
That's
give
a lot
me a
of work.
hoodie that cost you like $1 to get made? Yes. But yeah, you know, you just learn, like it's just this kind of, it's been this process of just constantly learning as I go and like working up enough confidence to start to talk to other creators and to ask around and like figure out what I'm actually worth and how much I should be charging and what I can charge for. And yeah. And so then as soon as I started getting into that a little bit more, I definitely was like, had this like very, I was very torn. I was like, you know, I've still got like, I've worked so hard on the styling and I still love it. And I still feel like I'm, you know, got a lot to give there. But I think, you know, just because I was focusing on content creation doesn't mean I have to stop styling necessarily.
No.
And I've still done a few styling jobs over the last like year. And yeah, I just feel like for me, I enjoy having that like little balance of like a few different things
For sure.
on the go. Yeah.
I get that 100%. Like I definitely have a few things that I do at once. And I think sometimes something will organically land in your lap and you haven't done it for a while. And it's like, if you feel like doing it, of course you should do it. Like you're not going to turn it down just because it's something that you aren't focusing on at that exact moment, if it's what you enjoy doing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like, I don't know, I think it's really kind of been like the millennial generation that have like really quite realistically been able to create career, like non-traditional kind of career paths for themselves where they do work in this kind of project to project freelancing, multiple like different sources of income kind of way. And you know, I was nervous about setting up my career in that way. I used to always think that like I had to do this 9 to 5, 5 days a week for my parents to be proud of me and to like think that I'm doing okay and I'm on a good path. You know what I mean? I was like, but I think a lot of those feelings genuinely were from like pressure from my family or pressure from people who don't necessarily understand these newer, less traditional career paths. And, you know, it's just that like little like societal voice that's like, but is it a real job, that's like ringing in the back of your ears?
Totally. I get that.
But yeah, no, I'm like, I've never worked a full-time job, which I'm like
Well,
kind of loving that for myself. But it's like,
yeah, you're lucky.
I've never worked a full-time job. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm really, really grateful. I am like, I've worked in hospo to like balance,
Yeah.
like, you know, I worked for the majority of my 20s in hospo as well as doing creative stuff. And so now it's only really been in the last 2 years that I've just gotten to the point where I can be my own boss and
I love that.
take a step away from hospo.
So what's your favorite part about what you do then? And yeah, I guess what drives you? Because obviously you've got to constantly be inspired and motivated if you do work for yourself, especially in a creative role.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly think it is just that, like, I am motivated to be my own boss. I just know that I work better in that way. And like, I just feel best when I'm being creative, you know what I mean? So to be able to work and to be able to make money through being creative and being able to work on a project to project basis is like massively energizing for me. Like I find that really, yeah, that's when I'm my happiest.
I feel like with social media these days, there's so many trends and so many, I guess, different ways of promoting your personal brand or being, whatever vibe your personal brand is. Do you ever find that you find yourself thinking, oh, maybe I should be more like this, or maybe I should be more like that? Or do you find it easy to just stay on your own path and not really get affected by the noise?
Definitely get affected by the noise.
Yeah.
I think it's impossible not to, like you're just absorbing so much content and so much media all the time.
Yeah.
And it's really like the little negative brain in all of us wants to immediately compare. So I definitely do. And like, I see a lot of work that creators do, and it's interesting because, I know that it's stuff that I just could never do. Like creators who are like amazing at like seamless transitions and like who just do like just really fun stuff that I'm just like, that like blows my mind. I don't know how you even thought of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those thoughts absolutely creep in. But what I have realized is that often the stuff that I like put out online, when I try to like silence that noise and just hone in on like things that I like doing, which often is like putting on a ridiculous outfit and doing a dance. I'm like, that actually often will get just the most traction because I know that it feels authentic. Like I know that people can see that I'm having a really good time and that, this is something that is very me. So yeah, I think that what I've come to realize is that like often the stuff that will work the best is the stuff that is just me. So like do stick to that. But at the same time, it's like, it's awesome to keep an eye on other creators who inspire you and to try to like, allow what they're doing to hopefully like push you towards like stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, like I really need to get better at talking on camera. Terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me a character. I can chit chat to you in character mode. I'm like, I'll put on a wig and be a middle-aged woman at a barbecue. Great. Perfect. But like showing up as myself and having to like, be kind of like authentic and vulnerable and just like that's like a little bit scary for me. So I think that like looking at other creators and seeing them able to like do that really well and speak really eloquently, like that's like massively inspiring for me. And so yeah, I try to like allow what other people are doing to inspire me instead of
affect you. Yeah. I think you do a really good job of staying on brand. And yeah, I feel like your content always comes across really authentic and like it does seem like you're enjoying it. Yeah.
Probably because the things that I like try to shoot that I like don't feel like are authentic, I'm like, nah, can't post it. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you're probably not seeing that you're like,
So do you, when you're like deciding to take on work or to work with a brand, do you kind of funnel it through that lens as well? Like, is this something I feel like I could easily gel with and promote? Like you obviously would have to turn down some opportunities because it's not a fit.
Yeah, definitely. First and foremost, I'll like weigh up how much I align with the brand and what they're doing. Sometimes I have to do a bit of research to be like, what are they actually about? Where are these products coming from?
Yeah.
But yeah, I generally a brand will contact me. Often they'll have a brief that I'm like, that is just so far from what I do, and so I'll often like re-pitch back to them and be like, look, I really like your product, and this is how I would like to interpret it. And generally I find that like brands are like really excited to move forward with whatever it is that you want to do, because you know, at the end of the day, it's content creation isn't a one size fits all thing, you know. Like someone might be really great at like doing a really candid chit chat piece of content to the camera, but like that's not me. So I'll often come back and say like, look, I can like put on a wig and we can like, I can be like, we can do an infomercial, and they're like, oh yes, nobody's like, yeah. So yeah, generally I will try to frame it in the context of like Millie world and be like, can I fit it into this world? And often like brands will be down to go ahead with that. So that's
and
good.
I think it comes across again like more authentically, because a lot of your content, like I probably can't tell what some of it, if it's an ad or if it's just you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, on camera, which I think that, you know, I work in the marketing media world, and that is like the show of good content, right? Is if you can't tell.
Yeah.
Blurs the lines between real and marketing. But yeah, we'll have to wrap up in a minute, but I'll just ask one last question. So, you know, I guess, how do you maintain balance and make sure that you are kind of not taking on too much at once and like taking care of yourself as well, so that you don't, you know, burn yourself out?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's really important to me, because I definitely like had a quarter life burnout moment of just really working my ass off for a really long time, and just realizing that I wasn't happy. Like I wasn't enjoying my life. And I don't think it was even necessarily the amount of work I was doing. I think it's like a lot of it's also just the mental energy and attention that you're like putting on your productivity, and like beating yourself up if you like didn't do the thing that you told yourself last night you were going to do. Like I had to like rewrite a lot of those thoughts for myself in my sort of mid-20s, because I just realized it like wasn't sustainable anymore, and that I just was like unhappy. And thinking in that kind of like hustle way is I just realized that it meant that I wasn't able to actually be present with my friends or with family, or like, you know, when I was enjoying myself and relaxing, I wasn't able to be present because I still had that like productivity brain. So yeah, I think that like, and especially obviously with like lockdown and COVID, I'm sure a lot of people have said on the pod before, like you're just really forced to just sit with yourself and be like, okay, let me just weigh up my life, the general vibes that are happening, and like, is this how I want to be? Like, and it was a really nice reminder for us all, I think, of like how important it is to like take a long ass walk every now and then, just because, you know what I mean? Like just feel like it, and it's good for you, and it feels nice. So yeah, I think as I try to like, it's tough when you're freelancing, obviously, because I have to take the work when it comes. And so I'll often say yes, because I don't know if it's going to go quiet for a little bit. So sometimes it's hard to manage as a freelancer when a lot of work happens at one time. But, you know, but I still like, then when I have my downtime, I make sure to like really enjoy it and to spend quality time with like myself, and to write in my journal and to pull some tarot cards and do all the nice little things. Make me feel like me again, and not just like some sort of like product machine. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's good. I think yeah, you're right. Like that's something that's come through pretty much every interview I've done the last 2 years, and you know, personally for myself as well. And yeah, I think it's actually been a really good thing that we're all focused a bit more on that balance and taking care of ourselves. And I really hope to see that continue.
Yeah.
Well, that our time's about to run up, but it's been amazing chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. If people want to find you, where can they go?
At Millie Sykes, MILLIESYKESS, 2 S's, because somebody took my full name. I've hit them up. They're not going to sell me the account. God damn it. But yeah, Millie Sykes with 2 S's on TikTok and Insta. And yeah, my email is in my Insta bio. If anybody wants to reach out and chat further, I'm always down for chats about all of the above that we've talked about.
Amazing. Thank you, Millie. I've loved chatting to you.